Last week we talked about the importance of having a plot in your movie. This week, what happens when you don't have a plot in your movie? Or at least, mostly don't. A.k.a. what happens with Return of the Jedi. Let me explain by recapping the movie. Warning, this will contain spoilers for the Return of the Jedi. So we begin with a half an hour of Jabba's palace. I'm trying to save Han. They get captured. They escape again. They just kill him. Everything goes down. Eventually, half an hour later, they're all back together. And immediately, they split up because Luke decides he needs to go visit Yoda, and the other ones say they need to go and talk to the other people. So now, they're split back up again. So we're already probably an hour into the movie now, and I have no idea what the point of this movie is. Then Luke talks to Yoda, figures out he has a sister, decides he needs to go and kill his father. He leaves again. Meanwhile, the other ones are, there's a new Death Star. They need to go destroy the Death Star, and so they go off and do it. They eventually meet back up again. There's a whole fight at the end. Destroy the new Death Star. Destroy the Emperor. Redeem Anakin Skywalker. Movie ends. Now, for all you Star Wars fans who really like this, love this movie, you probably are annoyed how I just summed it up way, and I just left out a lot of little details here and there and everywhere, but that's the basic idea of what happens in this movie. Now, for those who have been following my channel for a while, you may notice that I just recapped the whole movie. Yeah, normally I'm just recapping the opening moments because we're talking about the intro. I want to talk about this in the full movie because the intro in itself is literally just its own separate movie and then goes into another movie. And so basically, what we can learn from this, the point is, what we can learn from this is that they need to destroy the Death Star, so they destroy the Death Star. Luke has a sister, so he has to go fight his father. He redeems his father. His father is redeemed. His father dies. You see where I'm coming from? Just, this needs to happen, so this needs to happen, and this needs to happen. And this is exactly what I warned you guys about last week. When you don't have a plot, this is what I warned you about. What will happen? We just went from one event to the next event, to the next event, to the next event, and nothing got accomplished. For those who haven't seen that last episode, it's a good idea to go watch that because I go into more detail about what a plot is. I'm not going to go as much into detail about what a plot is in this one. But basically, I'll just sum that back up again. A plot is the driving force, the engine of your story. What pulls your story and your character developments and your world building and all that stuff together and pulls it forward is your plot. It can pull it forward and then the story keeps going after the plot ended, but for the last 20 minutes, but that doesn't change the fact that the plot is what is causing it. And the only thing that you can kind of say is the plot in this is destroy the Death Star again and redeem Anakin Skywalker. First half an hour of this movie did not set that up at all. This is why this is in the intro. You might say, hey, wait a second, but that was set up in the previous ones. And Anakin Skywalker being the big bad, Darth Vader being the big bad guy, was set up in the original ones. In the first one, and then the second one, and all that. So yes, it's just a continuation. Let's put it into the example of another trilogy, Lord of the Rings. The first movie to the last movie, yes, the big story is about destroying the ring. But Return of the King, being the last one, in its own way, has its own plot too, right? The big major plot of Lord of the Rings is still there. But it has its own separate plots, dealing with Minas Tirith, dealing with certain characters getting their character arcs, dealing with certain people getting over their grief, different stuff like that. All happens in that movie. These other storylines are happening, and it's not just storylines, but it's also its own separate little plots. It's not the major plot. The major plot goes through all movies. And let's just say that in Star Wars, we do have the major plot of Star Wars is taking down the Empire. So technically, yeah, by the end of the movie, they kind of take down the Empire, so there we go. They did finish it off, the major plot in this movie. But in the very opening of Lord of the Rings, You already know, and it already sets up. This is the ring. For those who don't remember, this is the ring. This is what bad stuff it does. We're continuing on. Let's destroy the ring, right? And this one you can say, yeah, they continue on 40 minutes into the movie saying, hey, remember guys, Darth Vader, we have to destroy Darth Vader. But for the first half an hour of the movie, they didn't do that at all. Second off, when you're dealing with trilogies, it has to not just be the overarching plot. It has to have itself be its own separate things, and it cannot just be another. It can't be, especially with a movie like this, where, yes, if it was literally just, if you added it to The Empire Strikes Back, would it just fit? No, it seems like its own separate movie, but it's literally just characters doing this, characters doing that. They do this, then they do that, then they do this. The first part of the movie doesn't seem anywhere close to what the last parts of the movie is. They re-add in a second Death Star. They just redo some stuff. The only plot it has in this movie is that what it took from the other ones. It took the original story. The plot was taking down the Empire, destroying the Death Star, Luke's journey to become a Jedi. This all happens in the whole story, but that's what was set up in the original. Even how much I don't like the original, I can understand that that's what was set up in the original. But in this movie, he doesn't really go through any arc. He's the same person who ended the last movie. He's the same character. No one goes through anywhere. No one goes anywhere. The same characters we were left with in the second movie is what we were left with in the third movie. And when we come to the third movie, right, they can't figure out what to do, what they had the big villain do, so they just they can't figure out what to make the big bad, the Empire do that's so bad, so they just remake the Death Star and put it back in there again. So they just say, so the plot of it now is to destroy the Death Star again. That's literally what the plot is. The plot is to just do the plot over again. Plot in Lord of the Rings. I mean, you have the whole plot of saving Minas Tirith. It's not just a random thing that happens. It's over the whole story. Everything that's happened with those separate people all lead into the bigger plot, but it's their own separate plot. The perfect example of the Return of the King's plot, that's not just the overarching plot, is that of the Return of the King, as the name says. The Return of the King is the plot that's separate to the Return of the King, is that of the Return of the King. The plot is dealing with Aragorn becoming king again. That's the overall plot. The Two Towers, the overall plot, separate from the overarching destroying of the ring, is that of the saving of Rohan against Saruman. And in the first one, which is the entry, that's the one that you can have the overarching plot. The plot is the journey to get to destroy the ring, right? And it ends, and that's the one where you can have these are the main parts of the plot, because those are the parts where you're starting with. But in your other movies, you have to have its own separate plots going to it. If you just continue it on, anyway. So the point is, if the plot is what drives the characters forward and all that kind of stuff, and if you don't have a new plot, you don't have a original plot to go off of, even when you're dealing with the end in movie, you still need to bring something new to the table. You can't just bore through, make a 2-hour movie just to make this happen and this happen and this happens. It doesn't feel like a plot. This movie doesn't really have a plot, and the Return of the Jedi doesn't really have a plot. It's just event after event. So that's what we can learn from this. We can learn that what we learn from this is that the important thing, as I mentioned in the previous video, I mentioned again in this video, it's important that you have the plot driving things. If you can't just have event after event after event, it will just be boring, bland, and I don't think I know anyone who, even all of the people I know who like Star Wars, I don't think I know of anyone who actually says that The Return of the Jedi is their favorite Star Wars movie. Most people, I don't really hear much about anything good about The Return of the Jedi. I don't think people just like, oh, it's the third movie, and the trilogy. And they're just like, the original trilogy is good, but they don't really pay attention to how the third movie is kind of just there, and it's not that good, and it really is just event after event after event, and no overarching plot or anything to it besides just the plot that was set up in the original that they were kind of finishing up. Anyways, it's stupid. That movie is terrible. But this is the example. This is the example I thought of when I was making that video last week of, where I mentioned, have you ever, if you guys ever run into movies where you notice that it doesn't seem to have, the story just, event happens, the movie ends. When I mentioned that, the movie that came to my mind when I was thinking over that stuff was that of The Return of the Jedi, where it feels like just event happens. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts below. Have you thought of any? Can you think of any other movies where this is the case, where it doesn't feel like it has that much of a story to it, and where it doesn't seem like that much of a plot to it, and more just event after event after event? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. This is, out of all my videos I made, I think this video is probably my least favorite of the quality video. It's just because I kind of didn't have much to say about it. I kind of just rambled on for a little bit. Sorry for that, guys. I don't know what to say, because the fact of the matter is, I saw this movie once and I don't care to see it again, and that's the fact of the matter. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Again, keep it up. I'm going to remind you guys again about the try for 10, get at least 5 people to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me your thoughts below. Tell me any movies you want to watch, any movies you want me to watch, review, any videos you want me to make in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Net Review. Peter Wary, signing off.